Hello and welcome to The Reasons I'm Broke. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kelli.
And this is a podcast where Kelli and I talk about the things that make us broke every week, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. We always start off the podcast with news until we finally move into comic books for the week. And we're going to kick it off with the Luigi Wii U remotes. Those released, I believe, on Friday, actually yesterday. Mm-hmm. And they released them with Mario and Luigi. Even though it is the year of Luigi, they did release both of them. But the Luigi ones are a little bit harder to find because most people did end up going for the Luigi Wii remotes. It's green, it looks nicer than the red, and Luigi's a more popular character.
I thought it was a really cool remote. Why is Luigi a more popular character?
Luigi's a more popular character in 2013.
Oh, okay. For this
I'll correct myself.
This one weird year, Luigi's more popular.
But Mario still gets things released right next to him, like the Mario remote and everything. But we're actually doing an unboxing video of the Luigi remote, so you can check that out on our YouTube channel if you just search @ReasonsI'mBroke, or if you're watching this on YouTube now, just click on the Reasons I'm Broke name and scroll down to the unboxing videos. We should have the Luigi video up by the time you listen to this.
Next up, we have another Nintendo release. It's the Wii Fit U meter. And this is really, really hard to find unless you pre-ordered it. I guess nobody got any more than that.
There are still some up on Amazon and also on Nintendo's site, from what I understand. Nintendo World got a bunch over in New York. What makes this one a good value is if you actually connect or sync up the Wii Fit U meter with your Wii U system and with the Wii Fit board that you used in the original Wii Fit game, it'll actually give you the Wii Fit U download for free. So you're essentially paying $20 for the Wii Fit meter and the Wii Fit U game if you already have the Wii Fit board.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good deal.
We managed to get one, and then I had to actually go online to get a second one for you. I didn't think they would be that limited. Mm-hmm. It pretty much looks exactly like a Poke Walker.
They just had a bunch of those left over. They're like, let's use it for something else now.
They come in, the one we got was black. I don't know if they are all black. I think there's a white alternative. If not, it goes well with anything you're wearing. The basic idea of this Wii Fit U meter is it actually measures how many steps you take throughout the day, what the height of those steps are. So if you're going up a hill, it'll actually record all of that. And then when you sync that up to your Wii Fit game, it'll give you a graph of how much you walked that day, and it'll calculate how many calories you burned through that walking. And you continue to track your progress every single day. And from there, it after you do your stretches and everything, it all just compiles into a good amount of data on how fit you're actually getting while using the product.
That's awesome. I'm excited for the yoga again, though. I missed that from the old one.
Yeah, I like the yoga. I like the strength exercises.
I like the hula hooping. I was good at hula hooping.
Yeah.
I was the best, and they're like, lean this way. I'm like, yeah, I got you, Wii U.
The moon one was my favorite. We had to, put your hands up in the air and then, the one foot.
Only because you're reminded of that one guy from Master Chef who turned into the moon.
What was his name? His name was,
I don't even remember.
Raj.
And it was the moon.
It was a Hell's Kitchen, though. Yeah, it was season 6, I think, of Hell's Kitchen. It's just this idiot who kept making it every single round. For some reason, would never get eliminated. And I always pick the weirdo characters that I root for. And those just happen to be the ones that continue to make it every week. And you're like, Raj is gone this week. He's just a fuck up. And nope, he's still there. They keep him around because he's entertaining.
You always pick the person where they make the noises every time they do something.
Or the giant tuba, boom, 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 boom. I'm like,
yes.
That's the guy. That's going to be the Hell's Kitchen winner. I'm rooting for him. I always pull for those guys. I'm not going to root for the really good cook. I'm like, let's give this guy a chance. I bet you he could run a restaurant. And then they show them in the kitchen and
run a restaurant into the ground.
He stuck his head into the fridge because he was getting too warm. They're like, where the hell's Raj? Anyone else would have been sent home. Gordon just looks at him and shakes his head and walks off. But in his head he's going, you know what? Maybe this is a part of his ritual. This is what he needs. And he made it. He kept going.
Only 3 episodes.
We also saw the X-Men Days of Future Past trailer. This is the sequel to the last X-Men First Class movie that came out. It's a different director. It's Bryan Singer back again. He did the first 2 X-Men movies, and he put together the old cast from the old X-Men movies with the First Class actors. And we saw the trailer. Had you seen the trailer yet?
No, I haven't seen the trailer at all. We did not see the trailer. You forgot you didn't show me the trailer. I'm kind of excited. First Class was such a great movie, and I'm sad they got rid of the director.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that Hugh Jackman's in this, because
well, every
he
movie
looks nice.
Every movie is Wolverine and the X-Men. It's
Right.
not really the X-Men. They just focus on Wolverine and Hugh Jackman. And what I liked about First Class so much is that they developed that relationship between Magneto and Xavier. And those were the moments, I think, in the movie which we liked the most. The other, like the rest of the X-Men, the kids, it's just they're secondary characters. You don't really care about them, but it's when Xavier's teaching Magneto how to use his powers and to use that inner emotion, that hurt that he had, to strengthen to do impossible things, the things that he doesn't think he could do, like move that satellite. I mean, those were the parts. That's why you watch this movie, and that's what I wanted more of. Apparently, the sequel was supposed to take place in the 70s. And then they went through a bunch of rewrites, and then Bryan Singer came back, and now it's like merging the old cast with the new cast. I think I would have liked it if they just continued the direction they were taking it in, and now they're doing something completely different. So, I mean, from what I saw in the trailer, it looks more like an emotional drama. But, I mean, it is just a trailer. You don't really know what they're going to be doing with it.
Right. We'll see. Could be good. Also, this past week, we picked up Arkham Origins Season Pass. And the game as well, which apparently has a whole bunch of glitches in it.
Yeah, if you go on YouTube, a lot of these shows, what they're doing is they're focusing on the glitches that Arkham Origins does have. And it actually does have a lot. It is not as polished as Arkham City or Arkham Asylum. One of the number one thing that they put up on the forums, WB Games, of the number one, the first thing that they're working on to try to fix the game is that Arkham Origins Infinite Fall glitch, where you just load up a game and a file or whatever, or after a cutscene, and Batman just falls endlessly through like a black screen, and you can't get out of it. Even if you reload your game, you end up back at that glitch, so you can't even advance in the game in many cases. That's the number one thing they're working on.
That's horrible. They should just not have released this game at all.
Well, no, here's the thing, though. If they had delayed the game, like maybe it should have, to just fix some of these bugs, it would have come out after the holiday season. It wouldn't have sold as well. So, and then with the rumor that Rocksteady is getting ready to officially announce the next Arkham game that Kevin Conroy is coming back for, thanks to his Twitter, and that it's coming out in 2014, they can't release 2 Batman games in 1 year, so they would have had to delay it until next year. And then these sales would have suffered. I'm sure the Rocksteady game would have suffered as well. So they released it while they could, grab, all whatever sales they can get before the Call of Duties came out in the Battlefield Assassin's Creed 4, and then they decided to patch it up later, which is fine, I guess. They're working on it, and supposedly in a couple of days we'll have a patch to fix a lot of those problems. The only way that Infinite Fall glitch would have worked is if it had been Superman, because then they could just chalk it up to him being like, this is what happens to Superman after he's rejected by Batman. He just falls endlessly in a black loop.
Clearly I will go sailing. Everybody's got to sing that when they get turned down.
No more I love yous. It just loops. Like, I think I finished this game. This is all about Superman's inner angst.
Where it goes, game over, yeah. And then you feel better about yourself.
The Season Pass is another thing we got.
Mm-hmm.
We were disappointed at the way that they're distributing these costumes and the DLC. Initially, you were supposed to get 2 bonus skins, the Brightest Day and the Gotham by Gaslight Batman suit. From what everyone is seeing online, and I wasn't even able to find it on my file, is that you can only use them in multiplayer, and in multiplayer you have to earn them still.
Ugh.
You can't use them in the challenge maps. It doesn't even pop up in the Batcave for when you get to New Game Plus. That's on my copy, and that's what I'm seeing from other PlayStation users, that you could only use it online in multiplayer. I understand they're trying to push the online experience because it was made by a different team and they want you to play the online, but that's really not what anyone paid for. We paid for the skins to be able to use in the challenge maps. I don't have so much of a problem that they're releasing it little by little, but to give us 2 bonus skins and then only able to use it in the online experience, and if that's a glitch in itself, because I haven't even seen it in the online game, and so I don't know, I'm still waiting for a response from WB Games like, hey, how do I use these suits? I don't even see them. So I don't know, I'm kind of disappointed in the way that that's been handled so far.
Right, I agree. That's horrible. That's one of the things I really liked about Arkham City is we could be animated series and run around. Well, okay, again, I don't want to see animated series in this game because it's not Conroy. Mm-hmm. But it was still cool that you could put on those different suits and be the different Batman that you grew up with, that you idolize. And that sucks that they're like, you can only use it on online, which I remember wasn't very good anyway.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't. I wasn't even able to get into an online match recently. I waited for 10 minutes. No one else would jump in. Very similar to Call of Duty when that first released. People weren't able to get into matches, even though there were a ton of people trying to play. I don't know how it is with Arkham Origins, if people really aren't trying out the multiplayer, or if this is just...
Nobody bought that game for multiplayer.
That's true.
0 people bought that game for... Everybody's waiting for Call of Duty to come out for their multiplayer.
Right. So, I mean, we'll see. Hopefully there's a fix to the season pass as well as or at least a tentative schedule on when we're getting the extra skins or either one of the extra 2 missions. But we did, as far as our progress with the game, we just finished the Gotham City Police Department section of the game. And I've been doing some of the side missions as well with Anarchy, and then helping out Barbara Gordon, which I like the way that they integrated her.
Yeah, they did a really
good
good job with that. I will say I really liked the Slade fight that we had.
The Deathstroke fight, yeah.
I thought that was choreographed really well. Like, it was pretty cool. And then the electrocutioner fight.
Fight, quote unquote.
Quote unquote. That was great, too.
I think the Deathstroke fight was probably my second favorite boss fight in the Arkham series, first one being the Mr. Freeze one. Mm-hmm. But I guess a lot of people had trouble with that. There's a lot of help guides on YouTube. On Kotaku, They had an entire article talking about how to defeat one of the hardest bosses in the entire Arkham series. I didn't die once. Like, you saw me play, I just kept countering, hitting him, not scary. Boom.
Yeah.
Knock his mask off, just an old man, knock him out. Done. What's so hard about this?
Put him in the old folks' home.
And Batman, again, doesn't put the cuffs on him, just leaves him on the floor. I don't know where he went. Maybe later in the game you find him.
Oh, he got captured.
Oh, he got captured by someone? All right.
I
remember that.
He's like, I have Slade Wilson tied up in this house. Go capture him.
Is he tied up? No, not really. Just laying down.
He's taking a nap. Put that baby down for nap time.
We also started to watch the Necessary Evil Supervillains, the DC Comics documentary.
Mm-hmm. I really, really like it. It's very interesting to see, especially because a lot of them are writers that we're reading right now who we love their portrayal of the villains. So for me, it's really cool to see where they're coming from because they actually understand these villains so well and get into their minds and try and make them they see them as people, which is really, really cool to me.
And a lot of what they say reflects on what we've been saying on the podcast, that the villains have to be... Good villains are relatable. Good villains, you can see their motivation behind what they're doing. You can kind of almost agree with what they're saying and the actions that they take. And a lot of times the Batman villains will point out, like Riddler, hey, you're also breaking the law. Like, what makes you different than us? Or they'll point out that Batman's actually creating more villains or whatever. And to hear the creators analyze these villains that they're writing, especially Jeff Johns when he's talking about Sinestro, it's just
went, Sinestro.
It's just like a completely new perspective on the characters from the creators. Paul Dini's in there also, Jeff Johns. Neil Adams does some Ra's al Ghul stuff in there. It's really, really a good documentary.
What did he call him? He called him Ra's al Ghul, though.
He did call him Ra's.
And he created the character, so I think he's Ra's al Ghul.
No, see, he did not see Batman the Animated Series, obviously, so he doesn't...
But he created the character.
Doesn't matter. Whatever Batman the Animated says goes. Batman the Animated Series created Harley Quinn, fine, but it handled Ra's al Ghul so well, and they said Ra's al Ghul. They even say a couple times, you ever see Batman Beyond? Terry keeps calling him Ra's, and Talia corrects him and says, it is a common mistake. It's actually Ra's al Ghul. So it's Ra's al Ghul. Batman Begins got it wrong. Neil Adams, the creator of Ra's al Ghul, got it wrong.
Okay, Dan.
Even Paul Dini. Are you going to say Neil Adams is wrong, or Paul Dini's wrong and Neil Adams is right?
I'm just saying that Neil Adams created the character.
I know, even creators can make mistakes. It's
so
pretty
funny.
unbelievable. But it is a good documentary. It came with the Batman Arkham Origins Collector's Edition, which if you saw the unboxing that we put up last week, you'll see the Blu-ray in the actual box as well. And on to some news about DC Comics.
Yep. DC Comics is moving from New York City to Burbank, California, to join the rest of its DC Entertainment operations. They hope to combine their workings in video games, comics, TVs, and movies with this move.
We've had a couple of different reactions to this news. We'll start out with your opinion on this.
It doesn't matter to me either way. Cool if they think that this move is beneficial and gonna help them. then that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that it does. Hopefully it accomplishes what they hope it does.
If you have two parts of the company on completely opposite sides of the country, and from what I understand, this is what I think the move is for, is they're trying to better incorporate their comics with the rest of the media, and whatever they do with the media with the comics, so that it's all kind of like put it all on the same page so that everything isn't inconsistent. And it's much easier to do when you actually are working next to the people that have these ideas, and you can see them every day as you walk into the office or whatever. Not have to make a phone call or a conference call. Just put them all in one place, consolidate it, and I think actually it's a better idea too, because you can better plan out what you want to make for the future of DC Comics. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I don't really see how. I mean, they'll lose some talent, some workers as well, people that aren't willing to
make the move,
the move, right? It's farther away from Kevin Conroy, who works in New York City, but closer to Mark Hamill, who's harder to get right now. So
exactly.
And here we'll read off some reactions from the comic book industry. We got these quotes from Newsarama.com. This one is from Paul Dini, of course, one of the biggest writers in Batman the Animated Series, one of our favorite writers in the comic book world. He created one of your favorite characters,
Harley Quinn.
He can write Joker like no other, as well as Batman too. He did the Arkham City games and, of course, Arkham Asylum. He says, "It's interesting, as I sit here right now and hear this, I'm listening to Everything Must Change by Nina Simone. Odd, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully it will mean some good things for the people, the company, and the characters."
This next quote is by Brian Azzarello, the writer of Wonder Woman. "Does it make sense to me to move the publishing operation to LA? From where I sit in Chicago, it doesn't really affect me, but it does affect a lot of people. I don't know how this is all going to shake out. They could lose a lot of experienced, talented people, but thinking positively, shake-up is good. Tends to energize things. Maybe it's too early to have an opinion on all this."
That makes sense as well. When you make a company-wide change, it does, like you said, energize people. A location change also helps bring in new ideas, and when you have different people coming from a different part of the company, that's just more people you can bounce more things off of.
Right.
This final quote is from Stan Lee, who we all know from Marvel Comics. He says, I can't do a Stan Lee impression. I wish I could.
Just try. Come on, it'll be hilarious.
"Well, now they won't have to." I can't do it. I'm not Stan Lee.
Well, obviously, we wouldn't have to do a podcast if we were Stan Lee.
He says, "Well, now they won't have to shout as loud when they want me to do a cameo."
Stan Lee, it's not all about you. Please. They got Batman. They don't need your silly Spider-Man.
He still swears, according to Fatman on Batman, when he was on, that he's never read a Batman comic. I'm like, bullshit. There's no way you never read a Batman comic.
But I think that's going to be it for our news this week. We're going to jump into comics. First off with our indie, we have Adventure Time 2013 Spooktacular #1, written by Bryce Carlson, with art by Fraser Irving and Becky Destrat.
This one is a $5 issue. It's like like an annual. They do the winter wingdings for The Simpsons. This is similar to it, except Adventure Time. They know they can release a book for some of the major holidays or some of the major seasons and still sell it at an extra $1 or $2. And they did for this one. Adventure Time 2013 Spooktacular is actually going to be my pass of the week.
Mine as well.
It's not worth the $5 price mark. The stories inside are incredibly light, not to the point where, well, kids will like this. No, it's just nothing substantial is in this issue. One of the stories I liked where, I don't know the character's name, but he loses his mustache.
That was my favorite too, Starchy.
He loses his mustache. The art was really nice.
It was such a weird story though. Like, I'm reading this in the beginning, I'm like, this is weird. Who likes this? And by the end I'm like, good job, Starchy. Got your mustache.
Starchy gets his groove back. But other than that, the rest of them, it just wasn't funny. The Ice King one, which I thought I would have liked the best, wasn't that good either. Like, he wants to get to this party, and they're all like, that's a great costume. You look exactly like the Ice King. Then they try to pull off his mask, and they find out it is Ice King. And they're like, well, let's just let him hang out at the party anyway. And that's the end.
It would have been better if you had an Ice King baby Marceline story from back in the day with the Lich. Yeah.
Right.
That would have been awesome. And then you had this weird... You only have those 2 stories, right? And then it was that weird somebody new thing that they're trying to push at the end.
I don't remember his name, like Brian Action, or I don't know what it
Something
is.
like that. The only part of that I liked was they destroy all his comics, and he goes, "No, my variants," and I'm like, Dan would do that. But it was
And
not worth it.
that was like 4 pages of the issue right there. Come on, it sucked, but oh well. Pass of the week.
Yep, mine as well.
Next is Powerpuff Girls #2, written and drawn by Troy Little.
This was a really good story too.
It continues Mojo Jojo trying to make up for his past crimes, and it's almost a death of the character in a way, and that's exactly how it plays out. Instead of taking him to the electric chair, they take him to like a de-evolution chair type of thing, where he goes back to his primitive form of just being a regular chimp before he got like the chemical Lex and the super genius whatever, because he used to be the professor's pet, wasn't he? I think that was one of the season 2 episodes.
I thought it was a movie. And then you find out that he's actually the one who bumps into the professor who breaks the chemical X, which turns the girls into the Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
It was all Mojo Jojo's fault. And then when the explosion comes, chemical X falls on Mojo also, or something weird, or he feels neglected and then he becomes Mojo. Something like that. And that's why he hates the girls so much, because they took his professor away from him.
Mm-hmm. But in this one, him sees that Mojo Jojo wants to get redemption. So he, by the end of it, he has all the villains also under like this hypnotizing spell where they also want to be nice and they do nice things to the Powerpuff Girls. So I want to see what he's actually up to. But as I'm reading, I also hear, I don't know what it, as I'm reading it, I do hear the voice from the show.
Him was the creepiest thing ever. The creepiest. Like, I had nightmares about that man, lady.
That's how his voice also changed. Like 1 minute it was really light, and then it would go, and then the Powerpuff Girls, and then so that's exactly how I read this too.
It was terrifying. Worse than any Batman villain. No, that's not true.
Batman would have knocked him out too, though. It's the Batman. Shut up.
He would have known his real name too. That he was really a man trying to be a lady.
You're going to jail. I don't know what his name would be. It's the professor the whole time.
Professor by day, him by night. Next is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #27. This one's written by Tom Waltz and Kevin Eastman, with art by Matteo Santalocco. Continuing to be probably one of my favorite comics right now. Mm-hmm. Really cool, great character development, a lot of suspense, a lot of action. I'm sitting here reading through them like, is this the day that Leonardo's going to be okay? And it never is.
No. The villains that they've been using up until, in all these 26 issues, all the villains that they've been introducing that we've been seeing the origins to, especially in the micro series, they all come together and team up with the Turtles. And then even Shredder has some of the other villains team up with him as he wants to be their master or their clan leader. And there's like this giant fight as they try to get Leonardo back, or Splinter in his case, he wants to get his son back. I thought that was probably one of my favorite panels, and when he says, Shredder, this time I'm not leaving without my son.
Yeah.
Like, one way or another, Shredder will have to cut a bitch if he has to. He's going to get Leonardo back.
Yeah, it was really good. Really excited for the next issue to see how this is going to play out. But definitely better than that last stupid Other Planet Krang Legend of Zelda. Whatever that was.
Next is Saga #15, written by Brian K. Vaughan and art by Fiona Staples.
Woo! There's a Saga ghost in here. That's how you know I'm excited.
In this one, they developed the relationship between the author's name. I don't remember his name, but also they're actually moving on to getting close to capturing the crew, the heroes, and then the Will. We finally find out why he is seeing his ex-girlfriend or whatever. So at first we didn't really know if he was just going nuts or if he has been crazy this whole time, but we know, and then by the end of it there is like a fallout that comes out of it.
It was so cool. I enjoyed all the little character development that you get to see. I enjoy all the little notes that we get to see that their daughter is writing from the future. We're not only seeing how these characters are moving together, but how they're healing together after this loss that they just had. And the writer is just doing such a wonderful job of making these real people. I love it. It's probably, and some controversial stuff in this one too, for that one line that was in there. People had problems with it. Okay, Dan, you don't have problems with anything, but some people do.
text. It's offensive. Like, you give power to whatever is offending you. If you react emotionally to something and it offends you, you're the one giving it, the power and the negativity, I guess, the negative message. If you just don't get offended by it, it loses its complete, whatever the controversy was. But yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal. Like, it's not the first time they've said something kind of rough or whatever. They curse all the time in this book. There's nudity, there's sex, there's like that one panel from like 3 issues ago where there's gay sex going on in the televisions.
Oh yeah.
It's like, who cares?
And everybody lost their mind. Apple pulled it down.
That's about it. Is this your pick of the week?
I don't know yet. Let's keep talking.
Next is Avatar: The Last Airbender, Volume 6, The Search, Part 3. It's written by Jean Luen Yang and art by Gurihuru.
Avatar!
It's the final issue on closing the door on what exactly happened to Zuko's mom, and it's underwhelming.
Yeah. If you guys want to know what happens to Zuko's mom, I got some great fanfics that I can send you, which do a much better job. And Zuko ends up with Katara in them, so it's amazing. It's wonderful. Yeah, very underwhelming. It seems like both in Korra now and in these books, they're really pushing the spirits a lot.
Right.
And how we can't function without them. And I get that has a lot to do with, I guess, the mythology that surrounded the culture that they're trying to emulate.
Right.
But that's what I really liked about the series is, yeah, they were there, but you didn't really do anything with them. Mm-hmm. And so...
Yeah, it almost feels like maybe they shouldn't have told us what happened to Zuko's mom. They teased it so much throughout the show. And
they
then
made
even
it
in
like,
Korra.
oh, what's going to happen? And
then now that we know, it's kind of one of those things, it's...
Well, she's a bad mom.
She's not even a bad mom. She's kind of a shitty human,
yeah.
sort of, too. So it's like, she's not the best person now, and I kind of wish they hadn't found her. Mm-hmm. Whatever. The next one, it was in this month's previews world. It will release in January. It's going to be The Rift. Mm-hmm. And we're going to pick it up still.
Well, yeah. But anyway, like I said, great fan fiction does a much better job of telling you where Zuko's mom went, and she's not a shitty human being in it.
There you go.
Next, we're going to move on into Marvel. We have Cataclysm number .1. This one's written by Joshua Hale Falkov with art by Paul Renaud.
This one's like a prelude to everything that will happen in Cataclysm when they finally end the Marvel universe, or the Ultimate Marvel universe. We follow Vision, who we first saw in Ultimate Nightmare many years ago, actually, where she was essentially created to fight off Galactus, Ultimate Galactus. But now we have 616 Galactus in the Ultimate Universe, and she goes off to stop him because that's what she was programmed for. Ever since the first Galactus threat, which we actually saw in the Fantastic Four sequel, Rise of the Silver Surfer, has Dougie Jones in it as the Silver Surfer. That was the best part of that movie.
He was great. Love Dougie Jones. Hi, Dougie Jones, if you're listening. Love you.
So when that Galactus went away, what she did is she went off to try to become human. Kind of the typical android story where they're trying to understand what emotion is and if they're really in love and if they're ever even feeling anything at all. And her relationship with the Falcon is what I think pushed this comic to be one of our favorites this week.
It was great. It was... When I read my comics, I read the one I'm least excited for first, and then end with the one I'm most excited for. Mm-hmm. And I read this one first, because I'm like, really, guys? Really? And I should have read it closer to the end. Really good.
Even though we've seen the story already with the robot, again, trying to become human and understand it, you can see stories, because, no ideas are original. You're going to see them over and over again, especially as you continue to read or watch movies or anything like that. But... the way he handled the dialogue between her and the Falcon is what really sold the book for us and what really made it a meaningful .1 issue and really an excellent segue into the Cataclysm series, even though we did see... there's a fallout at the end also, and it was good. It was emotional. I
really liked that. I don't read a lot of Marvel, so I have no idea who these characters are. I went in there with no clue. And by the end, I felt so much for these characters and felt so bad for them that it was like I had followed them all the way up to this point and seen everything evolve and change, and I hadn't. Mm-hmm. So that speaks of really good writing.
Exactly. That's also what makes it so difficult for these writers sometimes, especially being a comic book writer, is you do have to try to catch these new readers up or people that haven't been reading the series but want to read the new event. And you can't always do it by that paragraph of summary at the beginning of the book that Marvel does, which I like because it does do a really good job of filling in the holes for you. But when the writer actually carries it out through the dialogue and through the pages and through the actions, and you can, like you said, see exactly what they were trying to do or what they have done in the past, what history they carried, and you get it right away, that's what hooks the readers, and that's how you're supposed to do it. Next is Superior Spider-Man number 20. This one's written by Dan Slott, art by Giuseppe Camuncoli. Much better start than 2099?
Better than what we've seen previously, because now we're back to Doc Ock being himself and not being this crazy, let me just kill all these people. Well, I guess kind of at the end he wants to kill people again. So better than it was, not as good as it started out.
Okay, so it's going in the right direction for you.
I guess. Only because he found his woman, and the beginning was really funny.
The relationship between Doc Ock and Black Cat is completely different than whatever Peter Parker and Black Cat previously had.
So
it was really funny. I was laughing, and I'm like, yeah, take her down. Doc Ock does not give a shit. A criminal is a criminal, no matter who it is.
A person's a person, no matter how small. Okay, Horton, here's a who. Next, we're going to move into our DC. We have the Nightwing Annual number 1, written by Kyle Higgins, with art by Jason Masters. I think I liked this one a whole lot more than you did, because I really, really liked this one. Because it was a love story. Leave me alone.
Love story between Nightwing and Batgirl.
Which I always liked them together.
See, I like them together when they break up, and then Bruce Wayne gets with Batgirl. That's what I like.
No.
Because then Nightwing gets into what I like to call like Superman level of whiny. It's like past Nightwing and Robin whiny. It's Superman whiny, where he's just really mad at Bruce for being with Batgirl, and Bruce
and
is
not with him.
And of course Bruce doesn't give a shit because he doesn't really like Batgirl. He just wants to sleep with her, just like in the animated series. In that awful movie Mystery of the Batwoman, that's one of the times you see Bruce Wayne and Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, have a relationship, and you see that she is still young and she's treating Bruce Wayne like she would treat Dick Grayson, and Bruce Wayne's just kind of like trying to push her off and ignore her, and you can tell he feels a little guilty, like, oh, why'd I sleep with her? But this one does explore the relationship between Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon in the New 52 universe.
And I really like that. I think I would like to see them get back together, even though, like this comic points out, it's not really going to work. But I think, especially when... This is one of the reasons that I like Batman and Catwoman so much. There are only a few people out there who really understand what they're doing, who can really accept and support you in what you're doing. And I think that they could do that well for each other. I just want to see everybody happy.
Even Firefly.
Yeah, well, and I did like this. We got to see Firefly, and the thing that I really liked about that was it wasn't who Firefly really is, sort of.
And that was also another reflection of the whole relationship aspect between his character and, I don't want to spoil the comic book, but who he's trying to do, who he's doing everything for. And then that reflects with Barbara and Dick Grayson also, which gives you the overall message that Kyle Higgins was trying to give.
Right. I really like this comic. I'm sorry you didn't. If you're a fan of love, then pick this up.
I almost feel also like this Nightwing Annual should have been released a couple of months ago. It feels like it should have come out right when Nightwing was getting ready to move to Chicago, because it ends with Nightwing leaving Gotham City and operating in Chicago, which he's been doing for a couple of months now.
Right, but it wasn't... He was just in Chicago to find Zuko. Because remember, he was renting a room from those people. So this is him actually pulling up all his roots from Gotham and going and getting his own place in Chicago, is what's happening here.
While ending, or I guess finalizing his relationship between him and Batgirl.
Yeah.
Yeah. The final book that we're going to cover this week is Damian, Son of Batman, number 1, written and drawn by Andy Kubert. A lot of people were confused about what exactly this comic was going to be. And I got even more confused when I saw on the right top-hand corner of the comic, of the cover, it says The New 52. See, I initially thought this was like a what-if type of book. a prequel to Batman number 666. This is before the New 52 universe, in which Damian Wayne, in some form or another, we don't know, Batman is murdered or he's dead. So he takes up the role of becoming the Batman. And since he knows he says it in the book, he's not as smart or as strong as Bruce Wayne. He's even weaker than Dick Grayson, who was Batman for a little while there when Batman was quote-unquote dead. So what he does is he booby-traps all of Gotham City to help level out that weakness that he had when he was becoming the Batman. And that's what he uses. He uses Gotham City as a death trap to criminals, and he is actually killing them because he was raised to be an assassin by the Al Ghuls, Ra's and Talia. So he goes back to that once Batman is gone, that person keeping you from killing, as we saw in Batman and Robin in the series, he's being a father teaching him, you can't kill. This is the way I operate. If you want to be Robin, you have to follow my rules. That struggle. That's what we like the best about this series. This is a Damian that has become a Batman that kills, and this is the story of how he got to that point that we saw a couple years ago in 666.
I liked it. I thought it was really cool. Batman's death, I was kind of like, really? Really, Batman? You're just taking a nap. You're tired. You're just taking a nap. So I did like that. I love the interaction between Damian and Alfred.
Right.
I thought that was great because, in a way, I think he does see Alfred as a father figure as well.
Mm-hmm.
They all do. I do.
Yeah.
Alfred, you're my dad, right? Cool. I love to see the interaction between Ra's and Damian, where, Ra's goes, we raised you to be an assassin, but you need to go be Batman.
Right.
Which was great. He's like, I'm cutting you off from this family because you need to be Batman.
Exactly.
Batman was amazing.
That was, I think, one thing that Talia says that I disagreed with, because it's not how it played out, really, in the previous comics, when she says that the day you became Robin was when you were no longer an Al Ghul, you were no longer a part of this family. But she wanted Damian to go off, so it kind of conflicts with the other writer, what I think it was Morrison was trying to do, in that she was like, no, go be with your dad, and you need to know your father and go off. And so she kind of was fine with him being Robin, but then we did see her put out that bounty because she did reject the Al Ghul family in favor of staying with his dad. So that's where his loyalties lay. So I'm assuming that's how I would have liked to have seen this written instead. But it's just a minor complaint about the book, really, other than the Batman thing, which, I mean, we still have 3 issues to go. Who knows if there's more to that.
Right. Another thing that threw me, too, is I guess the villains had social media.
Yeah.
And they were putting up like, oh, I killed Batman. Really, Mr. Freeze?
He would not say that.
Really? It said, I killed Batman. Blog about it here. I'm like...
All his tweet would say was, no, rah.
That's true.
120 characters.
Little awkward, though. One awkward moment for me. Batman's butt.
I missed it.
You missed his butt?
Yeah. I missed that part of the...
Man.
We saw the back crack in Batman a couple months ago. Like
the back crack?
Back crack.
Is that what we're calling it?
Greg Capullo drew it, and he was on Twitter. He's like, I hope no one put up like a banned... DC doesn't put up like a banned block again. They didn't, but... Yeah, I missed the bat butt.
Well, you should be glad.
Superman saw it, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, Superman just like sneaks in at night and uses X-ray vision.
Every night.
Sees that bat crack all the time.
Lead underwear again. Maybe one day he'll forget.
He'll never forget Superman. The only time he'll forget is when he's trying to take him down.
Yeah, trying to distract him. Hopefully we'll see that in that Ben Affleck Superman Batman movie.
It's not gonna happen, Dan. We're the only ones who think he's gay for Batman.
We still saw Henry Cavill as pretty gay too, didn't we?
Yeah, he was.
But overall, are you happy with Damian, Son of Batman? Do you see it as in continuity with what's going on currently? I mean, we know Damian's coming back. There's no doubt about it ever since his body went missing.
Batman will never die.
Right.
Never. He's not, like I said, he's just taking a nap. But I think this is a very good story of what would realistically happen if, Batman. And I did like to see the differences between, we've just seen how Batman's dealt with Damian's death. Now let's see how Damian would deal with Batman's. And that's a really cool parallel for me. Right on the heels of one, we're seeing the next one. I think it's really smart when it came out.
Exactly. My final thoughts on this issue is that I would have liked to see Alfred's mourning a little bit more. It kind of seemed like he was just more busy trying to deal with Damian and trying to control him and trying to figure out why Damian's murdering all these villains that have claimed to kill the Batman. But as you mentioned earlier, just that awesome Ra's al Ghul moment made this, and the art was great by Andy Kubert.
Yeah.
I mean, you have some really good panels in there. Some of them I was like, but overall, it was a really strong book.
I want to touch up on you talking about Alfred mourning.
Mm-hmm.
I think any mourning he would do would be done by himself.
Privately.
Because I think he faces every time he goes out there as his last time. He has to understand he's probably not coming back tonight. So I think he's a little more prepared for it than Damian, because Damian's still young and that's his father. He's going to live forever. There's nothing he can't do in his eyes. But I think Alfred's a little more realistic.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right with that. We saw that in the last Batman and Robin issue, or 2 issues ago. It was an acceptance, where Alfred is actually crying by himself as he's going through the simulator to see what he could have done to prevent Damian's death. Mm-hmm. And he's doing it away from Batman and away from everyone else. And that's when Batman tells him, I forgot that you also lost a son in a way. And yeah, it was sad. This Damian stuff is awesome.
And on that sad note...
It's good stuff. So let's go ahead and round up all the comics here real quick. The pass of the week that we both agreed on was Adventure Time 2013 Spooktacular #1. Do you want to go with your pass or your pick of the week first, or should I?
Oh, man. There are a lot of really good ones. I think I'm going to actually have to go with Saga number 15. Mm-hmm. It was a filler, but it was still a great filler. And that you don't come by that a whole lot.
My pick of the week is going to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 27. It was what the last couple of issues were building up to, and we finally got... I like that villains and heroes can team up, and you got a lot of that in this issue.
Cool, but I think that'll actually do it for this week. As always, check us out on Twitter, #ReasonsI'mBroke, or search @ReasonsI'mBroke. Let us know what made you broke this week.
And if you're having trouble with Arkham Origins as well, any glitches, go ahead and share them with us. Again, #ReasonsI'mBroke, #Arkham Glitches.
And don't forget, we will be putting up an unboxing for the Luigi Wii Remote. You can check that out on YouTube, The Reasons I'm Broke. Or if you're listening to this on YouTube, just click on The Reasons I'm Broke at the bottom and scroll down to the unboxing.
And of course on iTunes, make sure to rate us. Makes it easier for people to find us. Just search The Reasons I'm Broke. Don't forget to subscribe.
But thank you all very much for listening. I'm Kelli.
And I'm Daniel.
We'll see you next week.